controlling the brain and controlling your moods. If you control the head, the body will follow. So they do a lot of this. And we want people to be aware, be conscious of what you're eating, what you're putting in your mouth, and look at the examples that God, had put before us. And it's surprisingly, one of the scenarios that God provided me with is these large animals on the planet. They don't eat protein. They don't eat meat. They don't eat dead animal parts. They eat fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grasses, hay. I was in Mormon country at one time, and I seen some of the largest cows and horses, but big, thick necks and legs. Because the Mormons is using the Creator's method to feed the cows. Okay, and without the pesticides and herbicides and the chemicals and the drugs, you know. Um, it's just an example of what we can do. And I know they eat meat, and me personally, I'm into the meat. I deal with the fish, especially the ocean. Uh, Wild caught Alaskan salmon is one of my favorites because of the omega-3 and the lack of drugs and chemicals in it. Um, it's just a method that works for me. Um, but if folks gonna eat meat, we suggest you get you some food grade hydrogen peroxide and soak your meat in that, and take it and get some 3%. Not the kind you get in the drugstore because they got chemicals in it. I'm talking about the food grade, the kind they make to spray milk cartons and juice cartons with. And take that into a 3% and soak your meat into that for a half hour once the meat is thawed out in the refrigerator. Don't be shocked of how dirty the water gonna look. Okay, but when you take it out and rinse it off and cook it, it just tastes so much better because you didn't neutralize a lot of those poisons that they feed the animals. Um, it's the same with the fruits and vegetables. Okay, once we get the energy in our phones, so, okay, the electromagnetic field that's put out by phones. A friend of mine told me about 8, 10 different things to not do with your phones. Like wearing them in your hip pocket or your back or your front pocket. They see even men who wear the phone in their front pocket may interfere with the production of uh, cells, those sperm cells. And women wearing the cell phones in they secret pocket, okay, in their bras, but it contribute to breast cancer. But when you come by Healthwise, we put your phone on the plug for 5 minutes. We neutralize the electromagnetic field from your phones, so it no longer become harmful to your body. It may in fact become beneficial to your body. And you can put that next to your food for anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes, and then it, from the research, said it neutralizes that pesticides and herbicides and nitrates, those chemicals that they put into the food. It neutralizes it. If you're gonna take drugs, again, you have two choices. Once your phone has been neutralized from electromagnetic field, put your drugs next to it. Anything that's harmful in a drug get neutralized. Anything that's beneficial get amplified. Same with your vitamins and minerals, all your foods, everything that goes into your mouth, in your plants. That's one way of checking to see if it worked. Excuse me. Is you put your phone next to the water that you can water your plants for a half hour and then see how they flourish. It just makes a big difference. Now, this technology come from some of our uh, uh, what you say, we call it like it is, the UFOs, aliens. They give us this knowledge. They've been coming to this planet for years, and we could just be naive and think we the only source on this whole universe is just us, this little old planet called planet Earth. No, there's a lot of entities that has been here for centuries and come back for centuries to help mankind out. How you think this, internet came about? Okay, how you think we progress? Just think what we have done in this country for the past 100 years. You think that's all of us? Okay, um, but there's things we can do to protect ourselves, and that's what we focus on. I was reading this article. It's like three parts to it, and it was just it was a long article, but it was titled like from McCullough's "The Ghost in the Machine," and the machine is these drug companies, and it gave just proof after proof after proof of things that we know is how the drug companies is actually poisoning people, actually killing people, and except for money or for control or trying to keep the population on the planet down is just evil. Or just look at humans as we do grapes, something to be consumed or just wiped out or misused and abused. Um, this, you get a car and you take it to 100,000, 200, 300,000 miles, and you go get another one. Maybe they had that mentality, or the mentality they have towards black folks that they're not human, they subhuman, so they can do whatever they want, and it makes them feel good, even though we can make their woman pregnant, they can make our woman pregnant. You can be a subhuman and have those abilities to create life, okay? But when you dulled from childhood about a person's abilities that God made them just like He made you, um, then you get these prejudice, which is a lack of knowledge, and you get these jealousies, which is insecurities. Um, but like I say, our biggest source is God, our Creator, whatever name you want to call. And when we focus on that, we just make such a big difference. Um, the ghosts in the machines. I remember he was talking about the congressman and how the drug companies, um, are controlling them. And he, he he mentioned it. This is part two of this. It was an introduction, part one, and part two. But I thought that was interesting how when he got to the congressman, and how he viewed them. Because he charged high prices. That's one of the things. And there may be drugs out there to do the same thing for a lot lesser price, but they are charged a high price anyway. And then here we go. Other ways Big Pharma ensures its high prices, as mentioned. Outrageous conflict of interest at the FDA allows drugs that once might not have been approved to fly through the approval and on into Wall Street. It is no surprise then when rush to market drugs are withdrawn, since an insufficient amount of time was allotted for safety problems to emerge. Patent front groups, a typical astroturf strategy, since they are not really grassroots, keep drug prices high. So what did he mean? There's a front, patent front groups. Okay, they they have these names like they for the people, but they get their money from the drug companies, and so You're not going to bite the hand that feeds you, so you're going to provide the documentation to support the drug companies. More than 80% of patent groups are big promise funded. 80% of these groups that's out here that say they for the people are being funded by the drug companies, including the national, uh-oh, here we go, the National Hemophilia. Here we go. The National Hemophilia Foundation. You would think that would be an independent group. No, they get their funds from Big Pharma, the drug companies. Another one, the American Diabetes Association. They get their money from the drug companies. Here's another one, the National Psoriasis Foundation. Beautiful names, but they are not out there for us. The, you know, John Q. Public. They out there for the big drug companies. So whatever advice they give you is going to lead and support the drug companies. And it helps keep the drug companies' pockets fat and these drugs that could be cheaper at a higher price. But the most insidious are to mental health front groups like the National Alliances for Mental Health and to Mental Health America. Not only do psychotic drugs represent 4-digit outlays per month per patient, 4 digits, that's over $1,000 per layout per month per patient, and sometimes much more. Patients are kept on them for decades or for life with few medical attempts to determine if patients still need them or ever needed them. You go to a psychiatrist for some stress and some mental problems you have, they give you a drug when you might not even need the drug. And then they give you the drug for your whole life when you may only need it for 10 days. Side effects of the drug cocktails are viewed, thanks to Big Pharma spin, it's called spin doctors, what Don Polk used to talk about, are as confirmations of the mental illness, not the side effects they almost always are. Side effects of drug cocktails are viewed, thanks to Big Pharma spin, as confirmations of the mental illness, not the side effects they almost always are. The use of such drugs in the elderly, despite their link to death in those with dementia, has become epidemic and is an unreported cause of falls. Did y'all get that? They giving drugs to the elderly and are causing the elderly to fall. The dementia is causing them to have dementia. These drugs. I mean, what is cholesterol drug to take cholesterol out of your body? Well, guess what? If you don't know that 20% of your brain is cholesterol, lecithin, and it's taking 20% of that lecithin out your body, or 90% of a man's ejaculation is lecithin, and lecithin help to emulsify cholesterol, and that your body makes cholesterol. So they're going to give a drug to take the cholesterol out your body that God put in your body a mechanism to make cholesterol. Well, we got good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. Margarine that even flies won't eat, or lard, okay, the animals won't eat. But you get, like the Mormons make this excellent butter that's made from cows that was grass fed that your body can digest. Anyway, To defend its high prices, the drug companies has also rolled out PR campaigns targeting lawmakers who want to stop the profiteering. They are designed to show the value, quote, that drugs that cost 5 and 6 figures represent. The prices are always presented as fixed and non negotiable. But the Senate Financial Committee said last year they do not reflect research and development, but are simply an opportunistic and a binary revenue push. The message of the campaigns showing patients whose lives were saved or lengthened by expensive drug companies' drugs is that questioning the drug companies' outrageous drug prices means you are heartless and don't care about these patients' lives, even as the drug companies seek to incorporate overseas to duck U.S. taxes and manufactures almost all their drugs overseas. These campaigns also claim its high priced medicine helped the U.S. economy by creating jobs, like for sheet metal workers. So that's the spin doctors do. Okay? The congressmen, the Senate Finance Committee, was was going to chastise these drug companies, and the drug companies going to come back around and said, "Oh, you guys don't really care about the elderly because we got some drugs that's actually helping some of the elderly and extend their life, but you want to, you know, cut our prices, and you providing jobs for Americans when the majority of your drugs is made overseas." Now, that's not the jobs for Americans that you got some Americans overseas working, so they're not getting American benefits that the UAW provided. Okay, labor laws provide, quality laws provide to make sure that the drugs is of a high standard. You can import them. I'll be glad when they come up with laws for the imports, for the import clothes. Need to come up with laws that meet the standard of Americans' laws for the import clothes. 'Cause that's a loophole. That need to be shut. Seem like these drugs that they bring in from overseas, that the manufacturers that live here have those foreigners make at a cheap rate and a cheap quality control, and they bring them in here. You know something else they do to those foreigners? In this article McCullough put out, which I applaud them, is they use, when they got a new drug, they want to test it out. He McCullough have a beautiful way with the words and things, but I can read right through that. They use prisoners, which we know is a growing black population, to test their drugs. Okay, and how many rights prisoners lose. And then another group they use is foreigners, a poor country. They'll go to that poor country, tell them they got a new drug, and they actually testing the drug on those poor people in those poor countries. And when they get harmful negative side effects, those poor countries can't fight these big companies, and they testing on these people. These folks, anybody that, I was thinking about this, anybody that would do that to another human being, why? I ask. Is it for money? Is it for power, control, make you feel like you God because you got control over people and they doing what you tell them to do? Is that what's motivating you? Or are you an alien from another planet that don't have no feelings towards these humans. That's my brothers and sisters that God created, that have the high spirit of wanting to do the right thing, and you just want to just kill them, a slow death, putting toxic waste that you can't get rid of, like the fallout from these electrical power plants. This toxic waste, they can't put it in the oceans because it'll kill all the ocean. Can't put it underground because it leaks. It's too expensive to put it in the space. So they caught the fluoride and put it in people's water and put it in people's bodies. Whoa, we. And then when you got technology that provides free energy, nah, you don't want to go that route. This whole thing is just, it's so appalling, you know. So what we gonna do? We can't change their minds. We could become conscious, share the knowledge, because a lot of folks know that these drug companies are poisoning people. So a lot of folks don't take them. You know, I know my parents didn't take drugs, and they lived both to be 85. I know my mama-in-law, she don't take drugs, and she 84, and they like, why she don't take drugs? She take her noni, okay? She drink her water. She take her turmeric, okay? She talking about getting a man. You can't. She full of life, just like my biological parents. They was square dancers. The head of the oldest black square dance group in this country. That's a complicated dance. And you have to have rhythm, and you dancing with 8 people, but it keeps your brain sharp. Dancing, exercise is so key, and it's so key for your health and longevity, and to being able to, if you don't use it, you lose it, and it's cheap. We can do it, and it prevents so many diseases. These are like easy things, and it reduces the stress. When we whipping and running trying to make a dollar here and there, got to spend every minute to try to make a dollar to make ends meet, we go out of balance. Then you get stressed out, and being stressed out, you can't draw no money to you. You can't come up with creative ways to make money. You you can't pray to God and ask for the money. Well, you can, but is it gonna happen? From reading books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Kimbrough, or The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by I think it's Covey, I think his name is. They give you techniques to use your God-given powers and what other rich, successful people have done, like during the Depression. There was millionaires made, okay? They made a way out of no way, which we have a reputation for doing. That same reputation of making a way out of no way, making living a life drug free, is making a way out of no way. Those are the skills that's innately in us. It's coming up with what I call the reverse of ABC. It's conceiving an ideal or method or desire, then believing that method or desire is going to fulfill, and achieving it. To achieve it, you have to know it. You can conceive the ideal, the desire, the want, believe you're going to have it when you get to the point of Knowing is yours. Like when you sit down, you know that chair gonna hold you. When you learn to walk, you put one step, it's gonna take you from point A to point B. When you get to knowing, when you breathe out, some oxygen is gonna be there to breathe in. Get to the knowing, unconsciously knowing, unconsciously competent. You get to the state of knowing. That's when the materials manifest. That's when the dreams come true. That's when you, like the basketball player, is playing out of his mind. He's he's in a zone, they call it. That's the zone God wants us to be in 24/7. Unconsciously competent. Not bamboozled, led astray, run amok, drugged, stressed out. To me, that's not God's plan. That's man's plan. Just like man's plan is, I don't want to take them ultimate classicals that don't taste good. That's the sugar and salt mentality, which is what is perpetuated on this television, as my brother called it. It's a control mechanism, control the mind, the body will follow. I like to remind people the five taste buds that God put on your tongue. Besides sugar and salt, you got your sour, you got your bitter, you got your acid, called the bad system. You got your bitters, your acid, sugar, salt, and sour. Those are the five taste buds that God put on your tongue. So you can follow that plan. God say, hey, what else I got to do? I put it on your tongue. Or you can go to sleep, become unconscious, incompetent, and follow that sugar and salt. What I like to do is come up with ways to get the sugar, the salt, the sour, the bitters, the acid past my tongue. Because I realized, being in meditation, that no other organ, gland, cell in my body care how anything tastes but the tongue. And it's to determine and send a signal to the body, look, we got some bitters coming. That's going to wipe out some of these diseases. Okay, we got some sours coming. That's going to wipe out some of these diseases. Okay, we got some sugars that's God made, like your blackstrap molasses or your raw honey, okay, stevia, okay, that God made, gonna wipe out some of these diseases. Or we got some high fructose corn syrup, which man has made, which attacks your brain, in your brain here, you attacks your small intestines, what some people call the second brain. Well, at least gives your body a warning, okay, versus those poisons they put in the women's tampons and they call it sanitary napkins. We call it unsanitary napkins. They loaded with toxins. They go right into your blood system. No warning at all. And poisoning your body. Then women get so much cancer and tumors and cysts throughout their whole body. I guess so. You taking 20 to 60,000 of these tampons and pads, you putting it right into your blood system that's loaded with all these toxins and dioxins. And the proof of the matter, I've seen women lose their legs from using those poisonous substances. They called it sanitary napkins because our people don't know. So it's up to us to have the nerve, to have the God fearing love to share the information. Even coming up with ways how to share. This whole platform here at WHPR is a creation out of God. I didn't set out to be doing this. I'm 16, 17 years ago. It was J.D. Hill, God bless his soul, who came to Healthwise when we was in the basement of the doctor's office and said, "You got too much information to be down here in the basement. You need to come on out." And another brother, Muhammad, Daoud Muhammad, who was the head of the Detroit Muslim religion, Nation of Islam in Detroit. He came to Healthwise, so you get too much information to be down here in the basement. So lo and behold, February of 2001, I came to doing the radio. Wow. It was 17 going on 18 years or whatever, 16 years going on 17 years. And it's been God that has provided the way for this to continue on. It has been a really remarkable adventure, trip, career, hobby, revolution, changing people's minds. God is using me. I'm not the one. I'm just a spokesperson doing what I love to do. It was put into me. It's put into most humans. They like to, love to do things for other humans. It's it's like the joy we've had for giving gifts, especially for the children. They just light up and feeling so good. But the joy it gives to us of giving, that promote healing in our bodies. That joy. And I just want to thank God. I just want to thank my wife who supports me in so many different ways I didn't even imagine. Um, so God, my wife, my family, you, which is my family, to provide this avenue to make a change in our community. Be it Detroit, be it in metropolitan Detroit, be it Michigan, United States, the world, the universe, whatever. As long as the message get out and we continue on the message, because I'm standing on the shoulders of our ancestors and our forefathers that have paved the way for us to be here at WHPR, a black-owned radio TV station with a 200-foot tower. You know how unique that is? So it's up to us to take this knowledge, which is coming from God, just using me, to make a difference so we don't become prey to whatever evil forces that these drug companies plan they got going on. No. In our circle of influence, each one teaching one, we are making a difference. I mean, one of the best compliments I got about a month ago when my sister came to us and her doctor said, "Whatever you doing, keep it up. Just don't tell me." About 9 months ago, they gave her 3 months to live for some kind of disease they call cancer. And she has so much love and support for her family. And they started coming. And she was a long time friend, client of us, some 20 years ago. But the seeds that we planted in her, when she got this disease, she came to us. And we gave her our love, support, belief that she will get healed. Because that's some of the healing powers God has given us. Like when that lady touched Jesus' garment and got healed, and Jesus turned back around and said, "It was your belief that healed you." God has not forsaken us. We've got 3 methods of healing: mind, body, and spirit. Either one of them will promote the healing. information that we share with you here, WHPR, from the Healthwise Show, information we share with you at 39, 3807 East 8 Mile. We got over 200 pigeonholes of information and constantly adding to that and reminding you that you are a spiritual being. You more spiritual being than you are a human being. That's why they can't kill you. They can kill the flesh, but the spirit lives on. You was a spirit before you came into this body. You're gonna be a spirit when you go leave this body. And once you get that knowledge that you a spiritual being, that's how Martin Luther King and Malcolm X didn't fear death. They knew it was coming. He gave his wife some plastic flowers, Martin Luther King, before he left her home last time. Same with Malcolm. He he had all kind of warnings that they was coming to take him out. Okay? But he had came to do what he designed to do as a spiritual being. His spirit is still around. We keep mentioning their names. Their spirit keeps coming and will help us anytime we call upon those spirits or call upon the ultimate spirit, which is God. We each got an angel with us from the time we born to the time we go back to 100% spiritual. That's when we find out just how powerful we are when we croak or when we meditate and get into that belief system, which is BS. I love you. That's one reason I encourage you to get 5 hugs a day. I got 4 already coming into the studio. So that's just kind of letting us know that God is not forsaking us, but just hugging one another, either physically or mentally or spiritually, promotes healing in our bodies. So have a wonderful New Year's. Stick to your resolutions, and they will come true. Love you much, and peace and love.